Hello again. So I am doing kind of back-to-back Facebook Lives tonight because the time is right with these two folks that I'm hanging out with tonight. So I want to introduce you to somebody um, really, really amazing. And thanks, Erica, for coming on. If you are watching this on the replay, please type replay below and where you're watching from. And if you're watching live, please say hey too, so we know you're on. There is Hope, so I'm gonna actually invite her on right now. So Hope, my newest friends, but somebody that I admire and respect so much. And so I asked her if she would come on and share a little bit about who she is, and I think you'll see pretty easily why I admire and respect her so much. We hung out, we had coffee and I think breakfast one morning, and I think we could have talked for days. So I just think it's somebody that I want to share out, and that you'll get a lot from. So Hope lives near me, and we have met through just kind of some community connections. And it says she's adding, so hopefully she's going to come on any minute. I'm pretty sure this is her first Facebook Live. Hey, it worked.
I figured it out. I didn't know what I was doing.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I'm turning my volume up so I can hear you because that would be helpful. Oh, how was your day?
Good. Good. Busy.
Good.
But
Busy.
good. Yes. But I got done earlier than I expected. So yeah, it's been nice.
Oh my gosh. And you're leaving in how many days?
5. I leave Sunday. So is that 5 days?
Oh my.
Yeah.
And you're headed to Spain. Yeah.
Yes. My first time overseas like this. So yeah, going to
Oh
Spain
my
to
God.
meet my husband.
Oh, how fun. I've heard amazing things. I have a friend that loves Spain, so that's definitely on my short list. So I can take pointers from you.
Okay, hopefully I'll have them. He travels to Africa every other month, and he always has a layover in Spain. So he's been there, not really to explore, but to eat out. And so we just decided that we would do this trip. So I'm very excited. A little nervous because I have to fly by myself to meet him, but it'll be okay.
Oh my God. Yes. So one of the things that I love about you is like when you shared that your husband's here for a month and gone for a month, you kind of roll with it. Like that's just you're an outside the box kind of woman. Is that right?
Yeah. It's funny you say
To
that
say the
because
least.
it's funny you say that because one of the things I talk a lot about with my job and my career is that there is a lot of thinking outside of the box. So I definitely have to think that way, live that way, evolve that way. Definitely have to have a lot of flexibility in my world.
And so have you always has that always just kind of come naturally to you? That's how you're wired, or is that something like newer and that's kind of developed over time?
I think a little of both. I was pretty laid back and flexible as a kid. Just kind of went with the flow. As an adult, I was a single mom for a while, and you definitely develop a little bit of um, OCD and controlling habits in just kind of
I get
situations you're
that.
thrown into. But in my jobs and in my careers, I've had to have a lot of flexibility and sometimes just go with the flow and see how things will happen. So I guess it depends on the situation and the circumstances for me, where that is. There are definitely situations where I tend to be a little bit more structured and routine and controlled, and then other ones where I just have to fly by the seat of my pants, like I am right now.
Yeah, and some of those are the best adventures, right? When we have no idea
Yes.
what's coming next
Yeah.
and we just roll with it. Awesome. Well, I one of the things that I loved about hanging out with you is I've always I've always kind of had it in my heart like to offer retreat someday. So when you talked about that being something that you've been doing, that's oh my gosh, how great. So can you talk a little bit about like how you got started doing that, how long you've been doing that, kind of why?
Well, it's kind of morphed. It started morphing years ago. I was a fitness coordinator at the YMCA in Cheyenne, Wyoming, for quite a few years, where I taught fitness, and I ended up getting into yoga and meditation. Realized that yoga and meditation, although is a great exercise, for me, it became a lifestyle. It became something that I incorporated into my life. Um, all the time. It's how I wanted to live because of the philosophy behind it, the honor your mind, honor your body, honor your spirit, be conscious and aware of what you're putting and doing to your body, the things that you value, how you treat others. There's the whole list of things that come along with it. And I realized that that really spoke to me. So that was years ago, 15 or so years ago that I was teaching yoga. Realized I don't love teaching as much as I love yoga and I love practicing for my own personal. I don't really love teaching. Um, Life morphed. We moved to Colorado. I realized after my kids graduated high school that there was still a piece of me that was missing. And ironically, a couple of my friends from high school invited me to a holistic retreat in Indiana a couple of years ago. And we went, and my husband had just started traveling to Africa and is gone every other month. Kids are now out of the house. I go to the retreat and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do this at my house. With the idea that I've had a lot of amazing practitioners who offer great emotional, physical, spiritual support cross my path over the years. And knowing how it has benefited me in my life, I wanted to bring that to others. So my idea is, although I'm not a great teacher and I don't especially love teaching, one of my strengths is collaboration. And so I thought if I can provide a space and I can plan and I can collaborate and I can bring some of those great practitioners and providers and people here to offer to other women, I was going to give it a whirl. So I held my first one last July, and it was even more than what I expected. I tried not to have expectations, but it was even beyond what I expected. I learned a lot, things I would do differently, things that I would just leave the same. I held my second one the end of April, and then we have a third one planned for August 11th and 12th, and they do take place here in Pine, Colorado, at my home.
Awesome. I'm hoping that I can make that one work. I don't think I'll be in Iowa during that time, so
Oh,
hopefully I can check it out and see.
no. Oh, I'd love to have you.
Yeah. So how do you think, or how do you feel like who you are shows up at your retreats?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think with the things that we also have guest speakers and we offer a lot of information to people on self-help, um, self-care, honoring your mind, your body, your spirit. That's kind of my big theme. Um, I'm, I'm, it's something I've worked on myself off and on. Life happens, so things come, you do really good for a while and then you taper off. You do good for a while, you taper off. But it's something that's always been passionate about. So I could say my heart definitely shows up at the retreat. Even though I'm the host and I collaborate and I piece it together, I kind of sit back and watch. I enjoy just absorbing everything and absorbing the energy that is there between the women and the people and the conversations that happen. Um, and I can honestly say at the end of each retreat, I am just full. I'm so full, so I have to take a couple days to process it, and just kind of be with myself and think about what happened and where it's going to take me on the next journey. I'm very empowered at the end of it. So um, I had a lot of life experiences that definitely play a role into why I also hold these retreats, because as women, we all have different experiences, but we all kind of go through the same emotions. Sometimes there it can be all over the place. Sometimes we deal with really, really hard stuff. And I think it's important that as women, we're having these conversations about these hard things that we go through, because we all go through them. So that definitely is a piece of me I want to share with people, to realize you're not alone in your journey. We're all in different places on our journey, but we're definitely not alone. And I think more conversations need to happen around that.
So do you feel like do you see people building relationships then, like new relationships when they're at the retreat?
I do,
I would assume.
yes. And that is really exciting. Because I think in the beginning, I think there's a little apprehension, there's a little nervousness, there's a little, um, just what is this about? What's going to happen to me? What's it going to bring up for me? Definitely a lot of emotions that come with it. And it has been just awe-inspiring to see how connected everybody is with little pieces. Like I said, everybody's story is different, but everybody was able to connect. Everybody was able to relate. The empathy that can be brought to these retreats when women are having these discussions of things they didn't even realize they were going to talk about, and realize that other people have been there and get it and understand. And the empathy that I've seen among the groups has been great.
That's so great. Because yeah, you really to truly open up and be vulnerable, that's really
Mm-hmm.
the way to get the most out of situations like that, experiences like that.
Right.
So, by doing that, then yeah, form amazing connections. So that is so neat
Well,
that you get. So do you have a takeaway, like something that you took away from a retreat that's just like was the most impactful of anything?
I would say the one that I went to 2 years ago was really impactful for me because it was like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was really involved and connected and into this stuff, and I'm ready to go there again. My kids had just graduated high school, you know, um, we're leaving home, and it's like, I'm ready to be there again. I'm ready to connect with this part of my soul. Um, I would say at the first retreat we held, the speakers, the presentations were amazing. So that in itself, um, I just always get empowered when when I hear other women talk about their experiences and how they've overcome obstacles. And then at this last one, for me, it was the energy of the that the women shared together. That was really neat to see. Just how everybody connected and the energy that was in the room with everybody. Very positive, very life-changing.
I bet. So along the way though, when you decided, okay, I'm gonna host my own retreats, I'm gonna do this, were there any doubts? Was there anything that you were concerned about, worried about?
Getting people registered. um,
Getting people to show up?
yeah, I had, my collaborators, my partners that I worked with, they were on board right away. And that has been great. I work with some amazing women who are willing to come and share their profession and what they do and how they reach out and connect and help people. So that has been okay. My biggest worry is just, um, yeah, just getting people registered and getting them here, because once they get here, my feedback has been it is an amazing experience. I have everybody fill out a feedback form before they leave, and the experience is amazing. For about a week, we're all on Facebook talking about it and sharing pictures and sharing the experience. Um, but just kind of getting people here for the experience is my worry. But we've had a really good turnout. I'm very pleased.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've done a lot of personal development, right? And just growing over the years. So if you could send a message to yourself, like let's say 15 years ago,
Uh,
what would that message be to yourself?
Eat better. I
Too.
definitely, I have to laugh. I'm going to share this about myself, which it's kind of funny. And people who knew me before I had kids, and um, because now I do tend to lean more towards a very holistic, healthy lifestyle, but I didn't always. I hated to cook. Everything I ate was fast food, or came out of a can. As a single mom, I fed my kids that way because it was affordable. It was easy. Um, if I could go through a drive-through anywhere, I ate it. I was a smoker. I would teach fitness classes and I would get out and I would go to my car and I would smoke a cigarette. Which, you know, so it's funny because people don't know that side of me. People who didn't
Right.
know me
You
before,
now.
they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're just such kind of a health freak." I wouldn't say I'm a health freak. I would say and to be honest with you, yoga taught me discipline. It taught me discipline of an awareness of what I put in my body, how it makes me feel, um, you know, what it does to my mind, what it does to my emotions. So yoga helped me along that path, and it didn't happen overnight. It's taken 18 years for me to get from when I started yoga to where I am now, where I'm very aware of, what affects me in good ways and what affects me in negative ways. So for me, it's not about being a health freak. It's about doing what feels good, what honors my body, my mind, and my spirit. Um, because I was the complete opposite and it felt horrible. I had some pretty bad health problems that I didn't want to live with because my quality of life was way more important than that. I was in pain a lot. And I didn't want to be anymore. And this is just my personal choice. Everybody can make their personal choice, but for me, my personal choice was not to go on prescription medicine. So I made a personal choice to find alternative solutions for me that has been challenging, but it's worked, and I'm very, very happy with it.
And so back when your kids were younger, right? And especially when you're a single mom, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good would you say you were at self-care back then?
Oh, um, I would say the only thing, you know what? Hmm. I would say my journey definitely started after my divorce, um, especially my spiritual journey. My spiritual journey really started after my divorce, and I really devoted myself to wanting to be different and wanting to make a change. So, with the spiritual journey came along the emotional journey and then the physical journey. They all kind of encompassed each other. Um, on a scale from 1 to 10, is that what you said?
Yeah, 10 meaning you were amazing at it, 1 being
Oh,
it wasn't even like on your radar.
I would say it was probably a 3. I journaled a lot and I sought mental health counseling when I needed it. Because there's just things in life that you do not come through unscathed. And I'm a believer that when your car's broken, you take it to a professional to get it fixed. You don't always try to do it yourself. So sometimes when your heart and your mind are broken and you need some support, you get support when needed. So I did. So I started that pretty early on after my divorce, counseling and journaling. And then that morphed into um, teaching at the YMCA, which then morphed into yoga and meditation. And then the yoga and meditation really morphed into the really taking care of myself physically.
I love that you're open about your journey because I think that's so it's easy to like feel shamed right of ourselves at certain points in our lives for not knowing better, not doing better. But really
Right.
truly I think most folks
Oh, you paused.
going off, sorry.
You paused.
Um, so I know you have lots going on and lots to do. Anything else you want to share before we go? I have one more question, but I'll save that for the very end
Okay.
because it's my favorite.
Oh. It's funny because you touched on that word shame. We do talk about that a lot at our retreats. That has been a big theme for me in my life, and something I really had to acknowledge, accept, be aware of, and work through. And I've realized as women, we um, maybe we don't know or not, but it's there, maybe hidden under a bunch of junk. But it is a theme that we do talk about at our retreats and how finding your safe people who aren't going to shame you, to tell your story to talk to surround yourself with, and just that empowerment of finding that safe place. And that's what we want these retreats to be, is a safe place. Um, you know, for women who want to just learn different things. A lot of I've talked to a lot of people over the years who I want to try yoga, but I've never tried it. And I've heard great things about it, but I just don't feel comfortable going to a class. I want this to be a safe place for beginners to maybe start a practice. Same thing with meditation. I can't meditate because of XYZ. So we talk a lot about meditation and not pressuring yourself and just, giving yourself grace as you're trying to learn some of these new strategies and self-care techniques. Same thing with the presenters that I have and the guest speakers. Um, I try to get a variety because there's going to be something that speaks to someone. Um, at this next retreat, we have a woman a mental health professional, Sarah Peterson. She's going to be talking about EMDR, taking care of your mind. And then we have Sue Scudder, who's going to be talking about the healing force of energy in the world and the energy around us. Taking care of yourself mentally and physically and spiritually with that. We're going to have somebody also talk about gut health and nutrition and food pairing and how that affects, nutrition and what you eat and how you're taking care of yourself internally. So we have a lot of different topics. Not every topic is for everyone, but there's going to be something that resonates with someone.
I love it. I totally need to go because all of those things sound like something that, yeah, the timing is right for me. So awesome.
Perfect.
Well, the last thing that I wanted to mention, and make sure when we get done here, when we post this live, make sure and put the link to your registration so that people can get more information. If any of my local friends or my Iowa friends wants to come out,
yes,
I would love to have some friends join me for this retreat. I think it sounds amazing.
And I'm
but
still trying to bribe
question. Oh, go ahead.
I'm still trying to bribe my Nebraska friends from high school to come out. So, hint, hint. Maybe they can carpool with the Iowa people.
Right. Exactly. Be a lot more fun to drive across with more people.
Right.
For sure.
It would.
So I'm super curious because I know one of the things that I love about you is I love your personal page and all the quotes you share. Do you have a favorite quote, at least for right now? I know it probably changes like on a daily basis. Favorite quote?
It does. So I started positive affirmations right after my divorce. A therapist suggested that I write down, she didn't tell me to write it down. She actually gave me a list of positive affirmations. And I have to laugh because I didn't even know what half of them meant. They were so beyond my world of knowledge that had to do with the universe and energy and what you're pulling in and attracting. I didn't know anything about that. So she said, read them every night. And I memorized them. And that was almost 19 years ago. And so they've just been embedded in my head for years. And I taught all my kids about positive affirmations. They're very, very important to me. Do I have a favorite one? It's funny because I did find one today because I sent an email out about the retreat and along with the flyer. And it was about change. And hold on, let me see if I can actually, do you have a minute? And I can just look it up real quick.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's on my computer.
Hi, Kobe.
Oh, sorry, there go my dogs. Let me see if I can find it. How can you tell who's all on here? Does it give you a list of people?
So it'll scroll across the bottom and show you like who's coming on and hi, Alicia. And there's a quiet mode. So if you swipe one way or another, quiet mode where you don't see comments, and then there's a mode where you can see people coming on, which is always fun.
Huh.
And then afterwards, you'll get to go through and see like who said hey and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So I find it.
I did. It says an affirmation opens the door. It's the beginning point of the path on the path to change, and that's by Louise Hay. She's one of my favorites. So
I love Louise Hay.
An affirmation opens the door. It's the beginning point on the path to change. So that was my one for today.
love it. It's so fun when things like that jump out at you, and
Hmm.
just speak to you. Because I know I posted a quote the other day, and somebody said, "Oh my gosh, that quote just came up somewhere else. Like it must be meaningful." And so, yeah, I love that you share quotes, and it's just fun to see what you're up to and hear about your retreats.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you so much for coming on and making time to chat with us.
Thank you so much for even thinking of me for doing this. I've never done anything like this, and I appreciate you just giving me the opportunity and coaching me through it because I was a little nervous. Um,
My gosh, you did
and
great. It's like you've done dozens of times before.
well, thanks. Well, I appreciate it,
Oh,
and I
well, thank you
appreciate the
everybody for coming
opportunity.
on. I will, I'll make sure that you post your link in the comments, and we'll get this posted to both our personal pages. And I'm looking forward to that retreat in August. And
Oh,
have a
I'd love to
great trip
have
if
you
I don't talk to you before.
because you and I had this like energy connection when we first met and talked, and I feel like we can just talk about anything. So I would love to have you there. It'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Love and light. Bye.